the Iron Bowl, the best rivalry in college football between the Auburn Tigers and the Alabama Crimson Tide, fueled with hate, passion, and love, where each team gets bragging rights for 364 days of the year, where everything in this game is at stake, not only just for the state of Alabama, but for championships as well. And this game has a cemented legacy of miracles and tragedies. Yo, welcome back to the show. I hope you guys loved the intro. I'm your host, Kenny the SC, and in today's video, we'll be breaking down the 85th meeting of the Iron Bowl between the Auburn Tigers and the Alabama Crimson Tide. So without further ado, let's jump right into it. The breakdown for Alabama this year is that Nick Saban and the Crimson Tide have been having a season that is everything near perfect. Alabama is headed into this game undefeated, with a Heisman candidate in Mac Jones running the offense. And this offense just cannot seem to be stopped. Though their defense has had problems earlier this year, they have really progressed as the season came along. The Crimson Tide are headed into this game looking to prove that they are the best team in the country, and with the SEC Championship and the College Football Playoff right around the corner. They are also looking for revenge as their playoff hopes last year were spoiled by the same Auburn Tigers team in a tough 48-45 loss for Alabama. The season breakdown for Auburn is that they are headed into this game with a bumpy road on the season, if you could call it that. They started the season off with two tough losses. One of those losses was to Georgia Bulldogs, 27-6, and the other loss was to the South Carolina Gamecocks, 30-22. They could have easily lost to Arkansas and Ole Miss as well, but those games came down to the officiating unit. Consistency with this Auburn team this year just has not been there. The defense has struggled earlier this year, but with time they have kind of improved. The offense for the Tigers has also been inconsistent as well. Bo Nix has shown that he is able to make plays, yet he has also shown inconsistency with his ball control and passes. He tends to scramble out of the pocket early and throws interceptions as well. Another thing to think about is that if Auburn had not lost that game against South Carolina, then the winner of the Iron Bowl against Alabama would decide who would win the SEC West and would be headed to Atlanta to face the Gators in the SEC Championship game. The Tigers are headed into this game with high hopes of beating Alabama back-to-back, though it is not looking so good for the Tigers as they have not beaten Alabama in Tuscaloosa since 2010. Yeah, that's right, 10 years ago, in an amazing comeback victory led by Heisman winner Cam Newton. Gus Malzahn has also previously stated that if Auburn wins out, then they should seriously be considered for a spot in the college football playoff. Well, in reality, if you think about it, they really should. With two top 5 wins against Alabama and Texas A&M at the end of the year, they could give the committee a very convincing argument for the Tigers to be in it. The only problem with that is that this year, you have to put them in over a number of teams who have also earned their right to be considered for the playoff. Now, with all of that being said, here's what Alabama needs to do in order for them to win this game. And here are my top 3 things. Number 1, they need to win on turnovers and penalties. In last year's Iron Bowl, Alabama gave up 2 pick sixes, and they had 13 penalties for a combined 96 yards. These key stats right here are what propelled Auburn to win this game. Even though Alabama blew Auburn out of the water in basically every other category, such as total offense, first downs, and time of possession, they still lost due to turnovers and penalties. In order for Alabama to win this game, they cannot have a repeat of last year. Now, the second thing Alabama needs to do in order for them to win this game is that their defense needs to control key situations. Bama needs to force the Tiger offense and Nix into favorable situations for the Bama defense. What I mean by that is that they need to make Auburn have to settle for a lot of field goals and force them into 3rd and long situations. The third thing Alabama needs to do is that they need to get their playmakers the ball. The Alabama offense has been doing this all year, and it is what has been helping them win football games. Mac Jones is a great quarterback, and the offense needs to put Mac Jones in situations where he's able to give the ball to his playmakers, such as Najee Harris, John Mechie, Devontae Smith, and others. Now, here's what Auburn needs to do in order for them to win this game, and here are my top 3 things for them. Their offense needs to find ways to generate big plays. Freshman running back Tank Bigsby has been playing insane for the Tiger offense. His injury from last Saturday's game against Tennessee really hurts the Tigers a lot. If he does get the nod to play this game, I expect him to not be 100% healthy and not to be in game-ready shape. With that being said, offensive coordinator Chad Morris will need to try to compensate for that loss. He and Bo Nix will need to incorporate more playmakers into their game plan, such as Seth Williams, Anthony Schwartz, Eli Stove, and Sean Shivers. And he will need to put Bo Nix in a situation where he can get the ball down the field and generate big plays for the Auburn offense. Now, number 2, what Auburn needs to do to win this game. The defense needs to play lights out. This is something that nobody will expect Auburn to do, especially against a Heisman candidate in Mac Jones. They will need to get pressure on Jones, force turnovers, and get off the field on third down. Playmakers like Smoke Monday, Owen Popo, and Roger McCreary will need to show up and make big plays against that Alabama offense. If Kevin Steele's defense can force Alabama to kick field goals instead of scoring touchdowns, then it will be a very key factor for Auburn to win the game. The last thing Auburn needs to do in order for them to win this game is that they need to win the trenches on both sides of the ball. Auburn will need to be able to establish a run game against Alabama, because they will not win by having Bo Nix throw the ball over 50 times on that Alabama defense. Auburn will also need to control the line of scrimmage on defense too. They cannot have another recreation of the game against Georgia, where the Bulldogs were just pushing Auburn defense all around the field. If that were to happen against Najee Harris, he would have a field day on that Auburn defense. If they are going to win, then it will be because they were able to control the trenches. With all of that being said, I predict that Alabama will get the win, 42-26. I believe this because Alabama and Mac Jones have too many weapons for Kevin Steele and the Auburn defense to handle. Bo Nix and the offense will have big plays for Auburn, but I do not think that it will be enough against this Alabama team, who has just an unstoppable offense that has shown no signs of slowing down. But then again, come game time, nobody's prediction or opinion matters, as we have seen that this game is decided by miracles and seconds.
Kick can go the other way, too. He's got to be careful and get it up.
On the way. No, return by Chris Davis. Davis goes left. Davis gets a block. Davis has another block. Chris Davis. No flags.